Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're looking at one of the absolute most fascinating, intelligent, and frankly, adorable creatures you can put in a home freshwater tank, the pea puffer. Now do not let that cute little face fool you, because these tiny aquatic hunters, they've got very specific needs. We're gonna walk through a complete start-to-finish setup guide, covering literally everything you need to confidently care for this unique species and keep them thriving from day one. So here's how we're gonna break it all down. We'll start with the basics and tank setup, look at the ideal aquascape and environment, and then cover their diet. After that, we'll get into their temperament and tank mates, sexing and breeding, and finally wrap up with some absolutely crucial health and buying advice. All right, part one, basics, tank and water. Getting the tank and water dialed in is literally the bedrock of pea puffer care, so let's start there. 1.4 inches. That's it. That is their absolute maximum adult size. It's a tiny number, but it carries a big distinction, making them one of the smallest pufferfish species on the planet. This diminutive size is exactly why they're so incredibly popular in the hobby. But listen, just because they're small doesn't mean you can skimp on their housing. Not at all. When cared for correctly, your pea puffer can live up to 4 years. But to get them there, you have to follow some strict space rules. Now, exact footprint dimensions for the tank aren't strictly defined, but you absolutely have to stick to a minimum of 5 gallons per fish, period. 1 puffer means a 5-gallon tank. 2 puffers, 10 gallons. It's a hard and fast rule to keep them from getting severely stressed out. For the water itself, you're looking at a warm tropical temperature right between 77 and 79 degrees Fahrenheit, and a slightly acidic to neutral pH, somewhere around 6.5 to 7.0. But hey, here is the absolute most important takeaway from this. They need 100% fresh water. There's a persistent misconception floating around out there, but you must never, ever put them in brackish water. Specific hardness numbers, they aren't quite as critical, but maintaining these core freshwater stats is completely non-negotiable. Now, when it comes to filtration, less is actually more for the flow. Out in the wild, they hang out in still or slow-moving waters, so you want to keep the water flow in your tank to an absolute minimum. A great little trick is to point your adjustable filter outlets directly toward the back glass. It really helps baffle the current. But remember, low flow does not mean low maintenance. These tiny guys are incredibly messy eaters. They leave scraps literally everywhere. You really have to commit to weekly water changes and throw gravel vacuums to keep that water pristine. Okay, let's move to part 2 and see how this builds: aquascape, substrate, and plants. Decorating the tank isn't just about making it look pretty. It is absolutely vital for their psychological well-being. You're gonna want coarse sand or a small particle gravel for your substrate. Why? Well, because you need a ton of plants, and this kind of substrate lets the roots spread out easily. A heavily planted tank is a must-have. Things like Anubias nana, Java moss, kabamba, and stargrass, they provide these crucial hiding places that make your puffer feel safe, plus they naturally oxygenate the water. Toss in some bogwood too. It adds a great natural feel and gives beneficial nitrifying bacteria the perfect surface to grow on.
Now here's a fun but very serious tip for you. When you're in there doing maintenance, use long aquascaping tweezers and scissors. Why? Because these cute little fish have razor-sharp little beaks, and they are incredibly nosy. They'll swim right up to investigate your hands, and honestly, getting nipped by a tiny pufferfish beak is a surprisingly sharp wake-up call. Save yourself the trouble and use the long tools.
Moving right along to part 3, diet and feeding schedule. Let's talk about what actually goes into those sharp little beaks. Remember, these are highly active, intelligent hunters, not your average flake-eating fish. Pea puffers are strict carnivores. You're gonna be feeding them live and frozen foods, bloodworms, brine shrimp, cyclops, and their absolute favorite thing in the world, live snails. Feed them twice a day, usually morning and evening. They're smart, so they'll quickly figure out who brings the food and start begging when you walk in the room. But you've gotta stick to the 3-minute rule. Only give them what they can polish off in exactly 3 minutes. If you overfeed, you're looking at severe nitrate spikes and massive algae blooms. Oh, and pro tip, drop a small coconut feeding bowl at the bottom of the tank so their food doesn't just scatter into the gravel and rot. All right, part 4, temperament and tank mates. So the crucial point is their behavior, and honestly, this is where a lot of newer keepers tend to trip up. We really need to put a stark warning right here. Despite looking tiny and adorable, pea puffers are highly territorial and aggressive fin nippers. They punch way, way above their weight class when it comes to attitude. Because they're so aggressive, they are honestly best kept in species-only tanks. If you are doing a group, the strict rule is one male with multiple females. Never, under any circumstances, put multiple males together. They will just fight relentlessly. Imagine carefully building up a beautiful colony of prize cherry shrimp or a tank full of slow-moving, long-fin guppies, and then dropping a pea puffer in there. It is a total disaster waiting to happen. The puffer will hunt those shrimp to extinction and absolutely shred those guppy fins. If you really insist on trying a community tank, your only safe bets are fast swimmers like neon tetras or zebra danios, or bottom dwellers like otis simplex that know how to stay out of the way.
Part 5. Sexing and breeding basics. Since keeping the right ratio of males to females is so absolutely critical for keeping the peace, we need to dive into some advanced care. When it comes to sexing them, males and females have very distinct physical traits to look out for. The males are going to have a bright yellow belly with a really noticeable dark belly stripe, a thick dark stripe down their side, and they even develop these little wrinkles around their eyes. Females, though, have a lighter yellow-white belly, no belly stripe whatsoever, and instead of that thick side stripe, they're just covered in tiny, random black spots. Memorize this. Being able to correctly sex them at the fish store is going to save you a massive headache later on.
If you're looking to breed them, here's the timeline. You'll need a heavily planted 20-gallon setup, and you'll want to bump the temp right up to 79 degrees. The male will kick things off by chasing the female into a dense patch of Java moss to spawn. The fry? They hatch insanely fast, just 48 hours. Then they'll spend the next 2 to 3 days hanging out, absorbing their egg yolk. The second that's gone, you need to start feeding them live infusoria and baby brine shrimp. Oh, and this is critical. You absolutely have to use a sponge filter in a breeding tank. A standard filter will just suck those tiny fry right up.
Finally, Part 6, Health and Buying Tips. We're in the home stretch now, so let's look at troubleshooting, common illnesses, and some really crucial purchasing advice.
So the most common health issue you're gonna run into is itch, or white spot disease. It's a parasitic infection, and it usually pops up when the tank temperature drops, which kind of tanks the puffer's immune system. It looks exactly like it sounds, like little grains of salt stuck all over the fish. To knock it out, you're going to need medications with a copper sulfate or formalin base. But obviously, prevention is the best medicine. Since they're prone to nipping, you are gonna see some injuries from time to time. A huge beginner mistake is leaving an injured fish right in the main tank where the wound just gets infected. Don't do that. Always isolate an injured fish right away for antibacterial or antifungal treatment. Second, stick to those weekly gravel vacuums to prevent nitrate spikes. And here's a really cool pro tip. Soak their food in garlic-infused products. Garlic naturally boosts their immune system, and it acts as a massive appetite stimulant if you have a picky eater. Before we wrap up, when you're finally ready to buy your pea puffer, this is what you need to look for. Buy captive bred. Because they've exploded in popularity, wild populations in India have been heavily overfished. They're actually officially classified as vulnerable to extinction in the wild now. When you source your fish from reputable captive breeders, not only are you getting a healthier fish that's already adapted to aquarium life, but you're also doing your part to protect the wild populations. Which leaves us with this final big question. Are you ready to dedicate the time and care required for this highly rewarding but demanding micropredator? They might be incredibly small, but their massive personalities and very strict care needs require some real dedication. If you follow the setup, the diet, and the stocking rules we walked through today, you're gonna have a thriving, fascinating slice of nature right in your living room. Thanks for checking out this explainer, and happy fish keeping.